Russian bots. Russian bots. Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris is on the Breakfast Club. And I know I just did a video on Kamala Harris, but I saw this and this was too ridiculous, so I had to kind of show it. Kamala Harris is on the Breakfast Club. And while she's on the Breakfast Club, for some reason I can't say breakfast, she's asked, I guess, a question on her campaign in Russia. And she makes this argument that Russian bots were responsible for the Colin Kaepernick issue. Let's talk about it. Welcome to the Soapbox. My name is Jamarl Thomas. This is the Progressive Soapbox. And yes, I know I did one video on Kamala Harris, but this was too ridiculous and so ludicrous that I had to bring it to your attention. Be careful on shows like The Breakfast Club. Shows like Joe Rogan, sometimes they ask you questions because they're not ensconced in politics. And sometimes what they ask you is not necessarily the same questions you would get on a political circuit. And those are sometimes the most interesting interviews because what pops out of the candidate sometimes is really interesting and weird. She's having a conversation with these guys. And listen to what she says about the Russians. About the Russians. And about Colin Kaepernick. She believes that Colin Kaepernick's, all of the hysteria around it, was Russian bots. Now, I find this to be somewhat insane. And I find this to be somewhat of a ludicrous proposition. And I find it so over the top. Because what's more likely? A country that had African Americans as slaves, literally kept them as slaves as if they were animals. And that kept them in that position for hundreds of years. And then go through Jim Crow laws, go through segregation, the Klan, etc., with these kind of fits and starts, the civil rights movements, the Voting Rights Act, all of those things. What's more likely? A country that has gone through all of those things take issue with an African American taking a knee during this Pledge of Allegiance. Now, he's taking the knee because he wants to draw attention to the fact that you're killing us. Now, the killing of us goes along with, to some degree, the history that took place in the country itself. This is kind of the point I'm making. What's more likely? That there will be a segment of the population that is extraordinarily angry at him for taking a knee. A country that is extremely militaristic, that associates the flag with being militaristic, meaning the soldiers and everything else. Like all of this stuff is wrapped up into Kaepernick taking a knee. Is it more likely that a country with that complicated history freaks out over him doing that? Or is it more likely that it was Russian bots? Which one is more likely? Now, I have to be honest, I don't understand the people who say Russian bots because I think it is more likely that those things are taking place just on a homegrown level. And you have a media that pays attention to it, especially when it gets to the point where the guy's not getting signed. And not only the guy's not getting signed, there's a threat to the profits of the companies that are involved in the process, which means we're not touching him because we don't want our profits hurt by people being pissed off that he's taking a knee during the Pledge of Allegiance. I don't think you need the Russian bots for this. That's my point. It's homegrown. It makes more sense that it's homegrown. And it takes somewhat of a conspiracy theory leap to get to the point of calling something that is easily and infinitely foreseeable to take place in this country as a product of the Russian government. Come on. Come on. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. This is her on The Breakfast Club. This is awesome.
Around the bend the knee and Colin Kaepernick.
Mm-hmm.
Many smart people have said it actually was not a thing.
Mm-hmm.
The Russian bot started taking that on.
Really?
Yes.
You feel like you're being targeted by Russian bots now?
Well, we already know we are.
God, I love that clip. I love that clip. I gotta show it again. I have to show it again.
So that's what they start to do. That ended up around the bend the knee and Colin Kaepernick.
Right.
Many smart people have said it actually was not a thing.
Mm-hmm.
the Russian bots started taking that on.
It's goddamn Russian bots. It's goddamn Russian bots. Who knew that people in a country that is extraordinarily patriotic and weepy-eyed over issues of the flag would get pissed off when a guy takes a knee on the flag? I mean, come on. Are you being serious? Like, all of them are dealing with her with a straight face on this? Did anybody, God, I don't know, I haven't seen the remainder of this clip, but I strongly hope or wish that somebody point out to her that, look, this country has a complicated history. It's extremely militaristic. That military is associated with issues of the flag, and the guy taking a knee on the flag gets coded as this guy's disrespecting the flag and disrespecting our troops. Like, you don't need Russia for this. Russia seems to be an outlier if you're looking for a rationale for why people were pissed off at Kaepernick taking the knee on the flag. During the Pledge of Allegiance, I should say. That's amazing. Not to mention this black man is taking a knee on the flag. This black guy is disrespecting the honor of the United States. And then they asked her, do you think you're being targeted? We know we are. We know they're targeting us. We know they are. Targeting you for what? For what? To what reason are you being targeted? What do you believe somebody is going after you for, meaning the Russians? Why do you believe they're going after you, your campaign? What do you believe your campaign is putting forth that they are so terrified of that they need to target you? And in what way do you believe they're targeting you? I mean, come on. This is utterly ludicrous. And I had a super chat. I'm sorry, Streamlabs. Kills for a living. Willie Brown's mistress is the worst candidate in the Democratic race. Her record is abysmal, yet she's brown skinned. Hillary, the media will never mention it. I call her brown skinned Hillary because her campaign team is Hillary Clinton's 2016 team. Yeah. And she's just as disingenuous. She's just as disingenuous. I'll end it here. I didn't want this one to be long. Money Train James. Jamal, she gives this, I know you know head nod. You're like, right. That's what she's like. Like, you know what I mean. 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 Those Russians are after us. You know what I mean. It's fucking hilarious. Kamala is friends with Modi. Is she now? I didn't know that. I love that. She says, goddamn Russians are after her. You're in third place. You're just getting in third place. You guys are like a year and a half out. And you believe that the Russians, despite Biden being in the number one front runner and Sanders being the number two front runner, you believe that the Russians are after your campaign. And not just the Russians are after your campaign. No evidence of this. No, that the Russians are after your campaign. That they were responsible for the hoopla over the Kaepernick issue. Why do you even say that? And then say a lot of smart people say, I'm glad you had to put that forward. A lot of smart people say it because it was going to sound utterly ludicrous. And you knew it was going to sound like nonsense before it came out of your mouth. God, pandering like nobody's business. Panda bears. I'll end this here. If you guys enjoy the content, please feel free to share, like, subscribe. You can always support through PayPal or Patreon. Thanks all. Bye-bye.